Do you guys remember the time you were a child and you just discovered the wonderful world of gaming for yourself? How that was basically a shared childhood memory for a lot of us, getting gifted our first consoles. Finding out how many diverse video games there are. Another shared experience, however, is unfortunately how adults around us started demonizing our new hobby. Parents, teachers, and media alike. They claimed it was a waste of time, that it made us stupid, or even turn us into a threat to society itself. Years later, you would think that the trend and its stereotypes would have died out by now, especially since gaming has become mainstream, now that the people in suits have discovered how much money you can make out of it. But nope. You see, in 2015 a very special episode of Law and Order Special Victims Unit was aired, called Intimidation Game. If you don't know what that TV show is about, well, it's about law and order.
What the hell is going on here? Your mom just got served. Served? I haven't even ordered yet. Order! Cheeseburger, please!
You are welcome. This spin-off series usually focuses on crimes involving the word that starts with R and ends with ape. And what makes Intimidation Game so important is that it's inspired by real-life events. The events of GamerGate. But is it really? To make it real quick, around 2013 and 14, at the center of GamerGate was a woman by the name of Zoe Quinn that had just released her first game ever. Many described it as too boring and not a real game, while the gaming industry was praising it a lot in reviews and articles. That had already risen some suspicions, but then Zoe's ex-boyfriend Aaron Gioni came out and posted about how Zoe had cheated on him with at least 5 other people, the majority of them being game journalists or developers themselves. That's when it was discovered that many people that work in games journalism and indie game development were giving each other positive media coverages without disclosing their ties to each other. Some were longtime friends, even roommates. Others were dating. When they got called out for it by gamers, they publicly apologized, said they appreciated their fanbase's concerns and promised to be better and more transparent from now on. And everyone went on with their lives, with a common sense of trust and relief. Except that never happened. Instead of taking this criticism seriously, game news websites completely deflected from the topic of possible corruption and started calling everybody that disagreed with them sexist and racist and insert evil buzzword here. The mainstream media took the side of Zoe and her supporters and painted them as the victims. The people that called out the lack of ethics in the game industry were called GamerGate supporters. Zoe got allegedly doxxed and harassed by a fraction that may have took it too far. But Zoe and her group were also anything but innocent. They ruined projects of other feminist groups by spreading lies about them, and their media outlets refused to publish their side of the story. Later leaked chat logs of Zoe and friends even showed several involvements in doxing and attempts in ruining people's careers. It is now about 10 years later and some of Zoe's friends are currently supporting or working for Sweet Baby Inc., a consultation company that has been in hot waters lately for trying to enforce their political ideas into games instead of just making them fun to play. If you are interested in the details, I made an almost 3 hours long feature-length movie about it, which is part 2 of my GamerGate documentary series. And if you come from that specific video, why did you watch? And thank you, and you already know everything you need to know as context for this episode. Let's just dive into this mess, and we may even encounter a very special guest on the show. We barely started and we find our first lie, a disclaimer saying that those are just fictional events with no connections to real people. However, Brianna Wu herself, one of the 3 horsewomen of feminist gaming in my documentary series, posted several articles explaining it was literally about them, or at least how it occurred inside their heads. We meet our main characters, 3 police officers in their free time attending some gaming event. One of the detectives in particular, played by Ice-T, seems to be a big fan of video games and talks a lot about that culture. After getting his ass beaten by a literal child in one of the games, he explains to his colleagues what the gaming term camping means. This will become important later on, I promise you. One of the game developer booths nearby, however, seems to be experiencing some turbulences.
Go home, gamer girl.
What the hell is your problem?
You and your boss. Reina Punjabi only got this feminazi game made by being a
Really? Like I've never heard that before? You're one of those? Get out of here.
A woman working there gets harassed by Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, and he calls her a feminazi. This is the first time I actually hear that word outside the internet. It is kinda cringe, not gonna lie. In their interaction, we get the info that the woman works for a female game dev that apparently doesn't have the best reputation, at least towards people who believe she slept her way up the industry. This is a reference to the already mentioned Zoe Quinn, who indeed used her connections to advance her career. Her boyfriend provided us chat logs in which Zoe confessed her cheating. Again, you can watch my video afterwards. The woman at the stand messes a little with them by asking if their mom had picked their outfits, and they leave. We are back to the detectives who are still roaming the event. They see a cosplayer, and if you keep close attention, you may notice a particular person. The man, the myth, the legend, the crypto scammer himself. The last thing your ghost sees when he finds your body in the middle of the forest. If this is the man that finds me first, I am not dying. Just out of spite, my soul will return to my body. We might see him later on again. The female detective describes them as overgrown boys. Then, they meet a guy they recognize from a previous criminal case at another booth for developers. The episode continues with the three detectives watching a live event and the game hostess, Tobuscus? Don't know much about him, but even I recognize those mutton chops. The woman with the colored hair streak from the earlier incident excuses herself to the bathroom, and just as she goes in, she gets attacked by the Scooby Gang. We witnessed the saddest attempt of an assault yet, like seriously. At first I was kinda scared for her, but they aren't really doing anything. My uncle has touched me more inappropriately than this. Thank God the guy from earlier notices it and runs to the officers for help. Of course, the two guys and their stupid video game addicted small man brains aren't paying any attention while there's literally nothing special happening on screen, so the woman takes the job. When she arrives at the restroom, the attackers had already left, and we got one of the most iconic and Oscar-worthy scenes in cinema history.
What did they do to you? They leveled up.
They leveled up. She kinda looks like that confused lady from the meme right here, trying to understand what the other woman just said. You can literally see the regret in her eyes. She should have stayed home with a glass of wine while watching Grey's Anatomy. The next scene is the victim being interrogated and asked about what happened. She uses a bunch of nerd words that not even I understand, so the scriptwriters can act like they know anything about gaming, and she describes her attackers.
Yeah, they were like young, they were white, but pale.
Pale, as in basement-dwelling pale.
Like kind of skinny.
And really thin. Like living off cereal thin because you're too busy playing games all day. We've all been there, gentlemen. It gets further explained that the attackers are actually after the famous female developer behind an upcoming game called Amazonian Warriors. The annoying lady says it's because those men are fans of a game called Cops, Kill or Be Slaughtered, that could probably be compared to Doom. She adds it's because Amazonian Warriors is non-violent and non-stupid, unlike the Doom clone. Afterwards, we finally get to meet that famous female game dev named Raina Punjabi. We also get to know more about her game. Turns out, you can decide if you want peace or war in it, if it's a matriarchy or a patriarchy, which basically means to have a women-centered society in which tribes stop talking to each other because their leaders happen to wear the same shoes one day and everybody starves to death because of their imposed sanctions on each other, or a man-centered society that is basically the plot of Fallout. And you can be eco-conscious or industrialized. It is all your choice. And there is even a reference to Kotaku.
I read on Kotaku that it's better than Civ 5. But
one of the game journalists that Zoe had cheated with had worked for this game news website. They are not even trying to hide their agenda in this episode. We also meet Raina's husband. He seems concerned for her safety while she wants to focus on the upcoming PR event for her game. Raina refuses help and the officers leave. There is also a short scene in which the star of the show has a mental breakdown over the possibility that her little son might grow up to be a gamer himself one day, and she just doesn't understand how anyone could like violence in a video game. And the story continues with messages that appear on an online forum in which the attackers of Annoying Girl brag about their attack on her. One of the detectives then teams up with the other game dev to go undercover and meet up with them by acting like they also hate women. One of the attackers brags about having touched her breasts, but describes them as kinda small. Imagine getting casted in this episode just to be body shamed. I would quit my acting career right here and there. We then see Reina appear on a live stream to be interviewed about her game. The interviewer presses Reina about gossip around her, while she wants to focus on talking about the game. Until she suddenly experiences what most Twitch streamers have to go through at some point. She gets swatted.
FBI, open up!
Someone had called the cops and told them about a hostage crisis that was a lie. After potentially losing her life, Reina plays it down and describes the people behind it as anonymous cowards and trolls making prank calls who just wanted to humiliate her in what they succeeded in. Her husband, however, takes it seriously and decides to tell the officers about threats Reina had received. They want to see her on her knees in front of the whole world. Reina still doesn't want this to ruin the launch of her game tomorrow and the conference she will be holding. The cops decide to be at least present at that event since Reina doesn't want to call it off. Ever since she got swatted, she became the face of women in gaming. At that event now, after all that talking about Reina's game, we finally get to see some footage of it. Take a look for yourself.
Now, it's up to you to get it right. Find the Amazonian warrior in you.
A farming simulator? Are you f***ing kidding me? All that chaos for this? Look, it would have all been so much more believable if it was, I don't know, about the Call of Duty community after the game got hijacked by Nicki Minaj or something.
Playtime is over when Nicki drops in. Pull up in a monster automobile gangster. Bang, 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 bang.
The absolute state of gaming, ladies and gentlemen. And now she's holding her speech about the most controversial farming simulator to ever exist. However, suddenly a red dot appears on Reina's body, which is scary enough, but then there's another one and another one. It was a bit much. Who can bring in so many weapons while the police is present? But turns out they are just laser pointers. She makes a funny joke about how her mom's cat loves playing with those and continues. Suddenly, the world turns black and Billy wants to play a game with us. What social justice in that farming game? What are the script writers talking about? Do the cows want human rights? Does the chicken have preferred pronouns? Well, in the chaos that ensues, Reina gets abducted by a fake security guard who thought they were just pranking her, but she's taken away in a van. Her kidnappers then released a video of her in their captivity in an abandoned building. It seems like this is just a game to them and they can't distinguish gaming from reality. The next video takes it even further. This actually made my heart drop, I'm not gonna lie. We see her half naked on the floor while 3 men around her are preparing to take their clothes off, which is absolutely horrible and nobody deserves that. And then I remembered the farming simulator. All of this for what, Stardew Valley? Afterwards, we see a beaten up and defeated Reina. She is forced by her captors to say that gaming is no place for females and how none of them are safe, and falsely claims she only ever got with her husband for his money to advance her career. In this published footage of Reina, however, there was a location tagged in it, so the investigation team heads to that particular place, which happens to be the home of a public school teacher. The teacher is very surprised by the police's visit and they ask her if her son is interested in gaming and where he usually plays his games. I now want to take a little quiz with you. The $1 million question. Where do you believe is his gaming place in? A. His bedroom. B. In the middle of the family living room. C. He plays on a laptop and moves around often. Or D. In his mother's basement. Ding ding, we got ourselves a winner here. Of course it's in his mom's basement. They found out the boys are armed and start questioning the mother of one of them. She reveals that her son has had a hard time ever since his father died. The team gets contacted by Reina, who is pleading for them to come and get her, but the cop that is a gamer himself warns them that this is the last level of Kill or Be Slaughtered, in which the characters contact the police to attack them in an ambush. When the police arrives at Reina's location, they hear gunshots from inside and another special forces team rushes in. We find only Reina with a shotgun in her hands. The police aims their guns at her and scream and order her to drop hers. However, her hands are tied to it, in hopes the cops would overreact and possibly kill her by shooting first and asking questions last. Meanwhile, two other of the main officers had taken a look at the rooftops of buildings nearby, since they knew they were probably being watched. A fight ensues with one of the criminals who surrenders shortly after. It turns out to be the son of the public school teacher that claims he was dragged into this further than he expected and admits he was the one who geotagged their last video. He also blames one of the other guys who can't distinguish between game and reality anymore. The second loser joins the fight but can't handle the recoil of a real weapon, and as soon as he falls to the ground, a white Logan Paul appears. It is made clear that he was the one behind most of it, and that refuses to see any wrongdoings. He claims Reina took away the one thing that they had. Except she literally didn't. Also, since his point of view seems a lot like a video game, some people made a meme out of it, which is hilarious.
Not like shooting a video game, huh? Actually, it's exactly the same.
Suddenly, a white iced tea appears. And we get another wonderful first-person point of view. I will not even bother remembering the name of that character, so let's just call him Logan. Logan looks like he's about to surrender and get to the ground, but then decides to give it a shot. Ice-T, however, is faster.
Right? Oh, you camping back there?
A person just died and the only line they can think of is, "Were you camping back there?" No, don't get me wrong, please. Logan, I mean his character of course, finally got what he deserved. However, this is still someone's morally rotten son. Maybe his parents did raise him right and he still ended up like this. And the news about his passing will shock his family, and all they have to say is basically, skill issue. Ice-T just starts teabagging him right here and there. We are taken back to Reina, who is receiving the news about her captors. This brings us another masterpiece in script writing.
Women in gaming. What did I expect?
Women in gaming, huh? What did I expect? Of course we're gonna get abducted, thrown off buildings, tarred and feathered. Totally normal stuff that usually happens with women in the industry. And she leaves the gaming scene, which is actually good for her. The gaming industry is a mess. We get another shot of that police officer who is yet again questioning why she didn't just stay home, drinking that bottle of wine that's been waiting for her for so long now. My god, what a roller coaster that was. Look, the episode could have been much worse. The problem is, it's acting like this is an actual reflection of prominent women in gaming or what they face. They are trying to tell us Reina is actually representing those obnoxious social justice warriors that use gaming and activism for their own not so hidden agendas.
Money!
Reina Punjabi is nothing like them though. She is a feminine woman that is very well kept, elegant, confident. She has no colored hair that signals me daddy issues. She works hard and seems like a professional that really loves her job. And I paid close attention to this. She literally never belittles men, unlike her mouth-breathing friend over there. And she also wouldn't have deserved what happened to Punjabi. There was not a single moment in which she spoke badly about men or called them sexist or racist or whatever. The closest thing she's ever gotten to an insult was when she almost died during the swatting, and she only described the perpetrators as trolls. She had every right to go off on them. They tried to kill her. And the scriptwriters are actually trying to tell us Reina is supposed to be one of those grifters right here. Is this how Anita Sarkeesian, Zoe, Quinn and Brianna who imagined themselves to be? And yet there was no moment in which she enjoyed the role of a victim, while those three made an entire episode out of it. Reina's game is not even about politics. She gave you so many options to play however you want. I can't talk about or show you guys every reference or bad opinion they gave about gamers in this episode, so you can totally go watch it yourself. But overall, it's the same talking points they've been repeating for decades now, about it being violent and at the same time childish. Don't ask me how that's possible. At some point they even mention how gamers see game developers as gods and they don't want to give women this kind of power. If you actually go look up some reviews about it on IMDb, you can see a bunch of most likely women act like this is exactly what they've experienced. What happened to them? Was their base and rust blown to pieces?
When you realize you found a gamer girl. Hey, some good old rust. Got him.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll pick you up. I thought you were somebody else. I thought you were an enemy. I'm sorry. I thought you were somebody else.
What a nice guy.
Thank you.
What?
You did this to yourself.
You did this to yourself. This is like poetry, dude.
Look, I'm genuinely the type of guy willing to listen to people as long as they are respectful. I did find this clip here.
Watch what happens when the men in this online session of Counter-Strike learn that there's a woman playing in their midst.
Are you an archaeologist? Because I have a big bone that needs examining. Mrs. Pretty Lady. If I subscribe, will you give me a big kiss? I'd give you my skins for some skin, if you know what I mean, huh, sexy lady, huh?
I'm really just here to play, like everybody else.
This behavior would also absolutely annoy me. However, the general experience of online gaming can be tedious sometimes. Some gamers are definitely toxic and need to go touch some grass. So yes, the episode was done in bad faith, but don't take it too seriously and just laugh about the cringe. I am also fully aware that TV shows tend to be very overdramatic because it was made for entertainment. Yeah, that's it. So gentlemen, how do you feel about this episode? Do you feel accurately represented? Is there a game or franchise you would commit literal domestic terror for? Or did they already ruin that for you too?
The power of Yes.
And for the 3 women watching my channel, I hope this was a good warning for you ladies. We made the message very clear. Don't mess with our farming simulators.